Hey folks, welcome back to Fantastic Daily.
Hey folks, welcome back to Ugly Girls Are Us. Jeez, where's my dirty
Video about
me?
Fortnite. What is Fortnite? Well, basically, it's not just the most famous video game in the world right now. It's quite possibly the most famous anything in the world right now. Fortnite is kind of having its moment, and I think that is awesome. But that doesn't mean I need to make a video about it, right? I mean, Fantastic Daily is basically a place where we talk about ghosts and monsters and generally creepy stuff. So why Fortnite? I mean, besides the rumored mysterious comet that may or may not crash down in the game on or around April 18th? I mean, that's weird. But you know what's weirder? That is the same proposed date of a big event that was called out in the MH370 creepy voicemail a couple weeks back. I actually made 2 huge videos about it, and I brushed it off as a possible hoax or prank. But all of that said, I have gotten a nonsensical amount of messages and tips that something big might be going on inside the Fortnite universe, and that it's all going to be completed on the 18th of April. And for those of you not familiar with Fortnite, let me just get you up to speed here. Fortnite began as like a survival game that has been described as a cross between Minecraft and Left 4 Dead. You run around, you hunt for resources to build your home base, while defending that base from monsters. But late last year, Fortnite released a new mode for this game called Battle Royale, which is like a whole other genre of game. Basically, you and like dozens of other players are thrown onto an island, and the last person standing wins. It is super fun to play and extremely addictive, and it got so popular that the developers actually had to like fork the game, and now the Battle Royale portion of the game is developed separately with its own dev team. It's a big deal. There are like 40 million players. So why am I talking about it? Well, earlier this month, users looked up into the sky overhead in the game world, and they saw something weird. Some blue glowing thing, and people wondered if it was a star, if it was like a coding mistake, was it an alien invasion? No one really knew, and honestly, no one still knows anything. But there are some interesting theories. A few folks over on the Fortnite
Hello? Can you hear me?
into the game
Guys, can you hear me? Hello, stream.
That this thing in the
Hello?
sky is a comet, and that
Stream?
the comet is getting
Can you hear
closer.
me?
It's approaching
Hello?
the planet, but no one knows when it would
Why am I
impact
speaking to my
until
stream?
recently. Around the same time that the supposed creepy voicemail was floating around, players started feeling different vibrations in their controllers during specific like in-game moments. And some crazy yet genius people realized that these rumbles were actually Morse code, and that a message was being transmitted. At different points in the game were transmitting different parts of the message, but when they were all combined, they read SOS D5 418. Now, doesn't that look familiar? We just got an SOS message from the voicemail scare. This message, the one in the game, seems to indicate that an SOS is being transmitted from the D5 grid reference inside the Fortnite Battle Royale map 18th. That's the same day that the creepy voicemail story said was an important date. Now, the general consensus is that a section of the Fortnite map called Tilted Towers is going to be struck by a comet in the coming weeks, and what happens after that is anyone's guess. But what is interesting to me is that this revives the theory that the creepy voicemail was part of a paid promotion. Now, stay with me here, because this is going to maybe get a little nuts, but I think it kind of adds up. In the alternate reality gaming world, these initial hints or clues are called trailheads. Now, a lot of people accuse the creepy voicemail of being a trailhead because it looked very, very similar to previous trailheads used in big promotions for, like, say, Cloverfield or Ready Player One, but it was poo-pooed, especially by me, because no big film or television property is scheduled for an April 18th release day. But if this Fortnite comet collision thing is happening on April 18th, that would be a big, huge release day. That Fortnite is bigger than any 10 movies right now. It is a monster hit. And if they are going to do something dramatic on April 18th, that would be an important date. And as anybody involved in ARGs knows, many campaigns...
Yeah? Yeah? Come in. Yeah? Jace. Hopefully that guided missile's here. I've done one so far.
Trailheads to launch. Any single trailhead could get ignored or missed, so, you have to leave a few, and all of them point to the very same thing. And that could be what's happening here, that multiple trailheads are pointing to April 18th as an important date. Now here's the next crazy part. The creepy voicemail said, they are not human. Could the comet actually be something else, right? That this is not a comet that is going to hit the Fortnite world. That this could possibly be an alien invasion. And somebody actually asked the developers about the comet, and the only response they got back was this image. The dude from ancient aliens. So here's the theory. Epic Games is making a huge change to Fortnite in this season's Battle Royale gameplay. It's going to be unexpected, and I can only assume very, very cool, and like any awesome media property, they need to hype it. And this is all going down on April 18th. So they get that date out there. Something is happening on April 18th. Gamers see the comet, they get the Morse code, and they agree something is happening on April 18th. But it's not the comet crash landing into Tilted Towers. Or the end of the current in-game season.
This
now,
is
I was
scary.
quick to dismiss this movie tie-in possibility before because there was just nothing big enough. There was no big enough media property to justify all of this trouble, but Fortnite is big enough. In fact, it is just big enough that if this is true, it is going to look like a masterstroke of media marketing. And I really do hope that it is true. It might be like the first time I am rooting for an alien invasion to occur. So I guess we will see. This could finally put to rest any of this creepy voicemail conspiracy talk. And if this date comes and goes and nothing happens, I guess we'll all have to just keep wondering what the hell this creepy voicemail actually meant. But right now I'm thinking maybe it has something to do with Fortnite and this comet that might actually be something else.
Hi, Fantastic Daily. I wanted to touch base with you and suggest that you look into infrared photography. Infrared cameras are able to capture things that our eyes don't see. I think you are onto something when it comes to what these shadow things are. A lot of the talk I've heard around that has to do with frequency and vibration. I'm sure you're onto that, but I'd really love to see what you could get with an infrared camera.
That is a really good question, and before I answer it, I just want to say that in between recording the first part that you just heard about Fortnite and answering this question, I have lost my voice. I've got this throat thing going on, so if I sound strange now, you know why. So that question, infrared photography is very interesting, and I really like the suggestion. My trail cameras are using an infrared flash, and that's why you can see in the dark, and that's why the imagery is in black and white. That's an infrared flash that is invisible to our eyes, and that is what we are picking up. There's another type of infrared photography that is a more artistic approach that I assume that's not what you mean, even though that's actually an interesting suggestion too, because I've never actually seen any paranormal research done with that type of photography, and that might actually pick up something that we're not used to seeing. I'd have to look into exactly how to do that, but the type of infrared photography that I think you're talking about, and full disclosure, I cut out a little bit of her voicemail because she started talking about her a family member in the military that uses this all the time, and I think you mean traditional infrared photography from a surveillance camera perspective, and so that is what I'm using. It's a very simple trail camera. It's kind of on the cheaper side of things, and it just shoots out an infrared flash, and then that is what you guys are seeing. But the second part of her question brought up an interesting point that I actually hear all the time.
If you need one, why don't you raise some money and we'll get you one. Great job. Good luck. Bye-bye.
So many people have asked me if they can donate or if I, could start a crowdfunding thing. People have asked me this months ago, and they continue to ask now. And I just want to reiterate, I don't ever ask you guys for money. right? Like, that's the deal here, that I make free YouTube videos for entertainment, and you guys show up, and we watch them together, and if you enjoy them, you get to stick around and have more free videos, and if you don't like them, you don't have to stick around, and that makes our relationship very, like, simple and easy, and you know, as pure as you can make it. That, yeah, I have ads on my YouTube channel because it's just like a button that you click, and, like, why not? That sounds great. But I'm never going to, like, ask you guys for money, or, like, ask you to donate to, like, you know, pay for something that I need. That is not really the relationship I want to have with you guys.
Yeah? You okay? Yeah. Yes. guys, I'm back from being AFK. I'm still alive. Oh! 2 kills still. I was only gone for like a minute. Allow me. Right, let's put my YouTube. Oh, yeah. Come on, boys. Think you can mess with me? Huh? Little boy trying to get involved. Little boy trying to get involved. Come on in, get involved. I don't know. See, yeah, little boy trying to, I swear he was like right next to him. Hold on. I'm getting a bit confused. Why is everyone like so glitchy? Alright, this is a bit weird now. Can you please just allow me for 1 minute? Oh, my hand's just boiling. I think I might be a bit dead.
The only thing I've ever considered is, you know, maybe I could sell t-shirts, stickers, or like coffee mugs. That's the kind of thing that I would want to do maybe in the future, but I'll never have something where it's like donate a monthly fee and help me, you know, do ghost busting stuff, because I'm not a ghost buster, guys. I am not a paranormal investigator. I see myself as a YouTuber. Like, if you guys want like a real investigator that's giving lectures at like the college level, I'm not the guy. I'm the guy you turn to at 8 o'clock at night, or 10 o'clock at night, or in the middle of the night, and like, I want to be creeped out. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I want to do. That's how I see myself. Those kind of videos that I want to watch, and that's the kind of videos I want to make. And that is, I think, the cleanest, purest version of what Fantastic Daily is. And we can debate all day as to whether or not, like, some of the things that I cover, are they real? Are they fake? You know, half the time we have no idea. I don't really think it matters, because I don't look at this as, like, research. I look at this as, like, scary stuff. And what I'm looking for constantly is, like, what is something that spooks me out? I really like the relationship that we have, and I don't want to complicate that with BS. So thank you so much for saying that, and I really do appreciate it. But that is all for me today, folks. Sorry my voice is going here. I'm hoping to have an update with my partner tomorrow.
What the heck?
Interesting story to tell about
Little gay boy, go die.
I'm hoping that I'm getting better, but I will see you guys tomorrow. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe. Make sure.
You're glad to get out of here anyway? Yeah, not wrong. Yeah, it's nothing.
Can start off with qualifications.
Done a lot of labouring.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we defy the odds. Let me tell you what we're doing today. Oh, you heard of a sky barrier?
Hey folks, welcome back to Fantastic Daily, where I make the creepy and... Yo, what is going on, guys? I'm Dr. P. Folks, welcome back to Fantastic Daily Fridays. Fantastic Daily Fridays is supposed to be a longer form version of the show I do Monday through Friday. Today is going to be maybe a little bit different. The problem is I have a sore throat, and my throat and my voice, everything just sounds horrible. And I actually recorded a much longer version of this video earlier today. It was about a whole different topic. It was about teleportation, but it sucked because my voice kept cracking, and it was just very hard to listen to. And I thought, you know, I have to get an episode out today, so I thought I would, you know, a lot of you guys ask me if I read all the comments, and I really do read all of the comments. And I thought, you know, as a tribute to you guys, and as proof that I dig as deep into these comments as I possibly can, I'm going to answer 30 questions, 30 comments of yours over all kinds of different videos. I'm going to answer 30 comments, and we can talk about them, and I hope that makes it easier on my voice instead of me just ranting and raving about teleportation and teleportation videos. this might be something that I can do today, and I will cover the teleportation stuff on a different day, because I think that stuff is very interesting. I didn't want to ruin that video with my crappy voice. So just a little warning here. If my voice cracks, you are encouraged to make fun of me in the comments below. If you hear my kids in the background, I am sorry about that. It's a little bit hectic around here, but I thought, I still got to get a video out. I still got to make and not just get a video out, but make it a great video, because I think that I really deserve it. I love talking to you. I love hearing the comments, and I think they are similar beings like vampires, hence the reason they need permission to enter home or vehicle and the nocturnal setting of activities. Just a theory of mine. Well, Barbiana, I agree with part of that. I think that these things could possibly be tied to the same types of entities that need permission to enter your home. I mean, clearly that is what they are asking, and they don't seem to violate that question. They're not trying to deceive you. They're not trying to trick their way in. They ask you a pretty straightforward question: can I come in? Can I use the phone? And if you say no, they don't fight that. I think that has to do with some kind of space. I don't think it makes sense that that is a technological advanced being like an alien or something like that. And there are definitely recorded accounts of certain types of spirits, mostly in Eastern cultures, that need permission, or they like to test their supposed victims. They like to see if the victims are vulnerable, and if they get the right answer, they don't cause any trouble. I don't know if these things are tied to any kind of like child disappearances. It's hard for me to imagine a real child being kidnapped either spiritually or by some kind of like alien advanced presence, and then kind of reprogrammed and sent on these missions that don't seem to have any point. I mean, it's not like they're fact-finding or doing anything of any value. They're just showing up at a door and asking if they're allowed to come in. I don't know why you would even need an actual child to go through that. So I don't know if I think that I don't think real children are being utilized in these black-eyed kid experiences. I think that if anything, it is most likely a spiritual or ghostly apparition that is testing us nightly. And Chris says, the Necronomicon is a book of fiction. You can literally Google it. Yes, Chris, I wasn't saying that I didn't know what the Necronomicon was. In yesterday's video, I asked if anybody had ever heard of a hotel that offers a book that is supposed to be a very evil book, very much like the Necronomicon. I didn't mean that I didn't know what the Necronomicon was. I wanted to know if anybody knew what hotel it was, and how do you get access to this book? Which leads me to the next question. Lane Watson here actually figured it out. I guess supposedly the book is behind the desk at the Jefferson Hotel in Jefferson, Texas, and is called, quote, The Book of the Dead, by people who write in it. You have to take it to your room and read it. That is really interesting. Do we have any viewers out there who actually live near the Jefferson Hotel? I mean, because I can imagine a scenario where you go on a fantastic daily mission, and maybe you can go to that hotel and spend the night and read that book and send us photos of what is in that book. I live pretty far away from Texas, but it would be really awesome to find out what is in that book. Again, how is that not online already? I mean, why don't we have an entire secret website somewhere that has all the pages of this Book of the Dead from the Jefferson Hotel? Not that I want to do that or anything, wink wink, but I would love to see what's in that book. So thank you, Lane, for digging that up. I pinned his comment yesterday. I try to pin really, really interesting, powerful comments that you guys leave. So if you ever see a pin in any of my videos, it means that it's an important comment. I try not to oppose that, even though I do, I guess, every once in a while. Kara says, evidence for the Loch Ness Monster was there for hundreds of years before the photo that you showed in the video, and there are still sightings today. It didn't start after the photo, but before then, and only heightened the phenomenon after the photo. Dig deep before portraying facts to others, please. Butterfly and praying emoji. Well, Kara, I don't know if I totally agree with that. I mean, for centuries, yes, non-advanced cultures would point into a cave and say, there's a monster in there, or point into a lake and say there's a monster in there, or point to a mountaintop and say that there's a monster in there. They've said that about all kinds of areas. But what really made the Loch Ness Monster was that newspaper and that photographic account that got the world saying hey, there's actually a thing in there, and we happen to know what the shape is, and we even gave it a name. So I see what you're saying, that there was like some precedent for the fact that there was something unknown in that water, but people say that about a lot of things, and it was that initial push, that initial prank that really started it all. And I think you could trace that back to like a group of actual people versus kind of like a superstition that existed forever. That's not quite what I meant by the statement that that's when the Loch Ness Monster started. I see what you're saying, but from my perspective, the Loch Ness Monster was created when a newspaper and a group of pranksters faked a photo and created the urban legend that is the Loch Ness Monster. That happened in the early 20th century. So Dark Fairy asks, so mass hysteria and psychosis, and Dark Fairy is referring to my previous video where I ask, is it possible that our deep desire to find the truth in the paranormal and the unexplained, is that possibly creating these experiences and these encounters out in the world? Like, is our desire to actually see a monster causing this kind of like, you know, group think, this group conjuring of these beings that we know to be false, we know they are fictional, and yet they keep appearing, we keep getting photographic evidence of this stuff? Is it possible that it's mass hysteria? Not just mass hysteria, but like a mass group think conjuring, that we are collectively creating this thing out of like, you know, the psychokinetic powers that are embedded in all of us into like a micro degree. Some of us are more powerful at, some of us have more of these telekinetic powers than others, and all of our desires combined, are we conjuring these things into existence? I think it's possible for sure, that especially if you agree with some of the premises, if you agree that ESP is real, or that you know, some kind of like telekinetic or psychic abilities are real, or that we all have some amount of access to that, and if you agree that there is like a collective consciousness, that like quantum mechanics or quantum entanglement kind of like connects all of us, if you start to believe all of these things, then it's only a small hop, skip, and a jump until you can accept the fact that maybe we are participating together, you, me, everybody watching, and you know, people well beyond this channel. We all believe these things, and we are you know, wishing it into existence. And somebody asked as well, like, well, why doesn't this work for Santa Claus? Well, one, I think children, that's more of like an imagination versus like a very strong desire. I mean, the difference between some kid saying he wants to meet Santa Claus versus, read my comments, and you'll see some people who have really, really strong beliefs about the paranormal. And, you know, the difference in the certainty between a child and some of the people in my comments is like striking. So why doesn't it work for Santa Claus? I don't think kids have like conjured Santa Claus into existence, but I do think it's possible that those of us who believe some of these things or fear some of these things, that's the other thing, fear is a much stronger emotion than like a desire for toys, and that fear itself could be causing some of these things. Like, are we becoming, you know, the thing we fear the most? Are we creating the thing we fear the most? I think it's possible. I really do. So L. Harch Mage here asks, on Slenderman, there are Native American myths that have a similar creation. So do old Irish myths have a similar creature. Also, Japanese and Chinese have a similar creature. Loch Ness legends date back to the Middle Ages. Black-eyed kids used to be called changelings in ancient Celtic myths. Yes, it's true that a lot of the things that we base some of these monsters on, these fictionalized accounts, whether it's Slenderman or whatever you want to call it, they are based on kind of like established legends, that we have always believed that there are like underwater monsters, and that had a lot to do with the fact that you know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, there wasn't a lot of science that backed up what you know, some of our beliefs, and the fact that we didn't know it was under the water. Also, the idea that there are, you know, giants and tall creatures and very spindly and thin creatures, or beings that can change their shape. There's all kinds of myths and legends around the things that we now worry about in our modern age. And that even comes down to some of our, you know, our religious beliefs. Even some of our scientific beliefs are infected by some of these old myths. And myths really do power some of our strongest held beliefs. I think that's why these monsters work. whether they are fictionalized, like Slenderman, or whether or not they are potentially real, like the Black-Eyed Kids. I think there is a lot of power in these myths, and that is why we are scared of these things, and that is why they trigger us the way that they do. So I don't think I don't think these things are mutually exclusive. I think that that's why we believe these things, and some of these fictionalized accounts are just kind of like built on top of it, and that's how they get popular. I think all of that is connected and makes sense that way.
Get-Go is a smart new trading app just about anyone can use. Get-Go makes trading simple by studying millions of price movements to find patterns that indicate a great trading opportunity. When it sees a pattern that hits a great trading opportunity, it pings you a signal. All you have to decide is Get-Go or no-go. With new Get-Go, you don't need to be a trader to trade. Download now.
The Dust Ninja says, I subbed for your experiments. Any idea when you'll continue? Alright, so let's talk about my experiments for a second. I'm not going to lie to you guys that I've been feeling like I'm having second thoughts about these experiments, because after the video where I showed the shadow thing in the tree, it's just been striking me that given how, I'm trying these experiments out in this area that I believe is like a hotbed for this type of stuff, that is like a very weak area in like space-time and could very well make creating portals easier. It strikes me now that I've been running these tests for a while. If there is something, let's just say theoretically, let's just say theoretically something is out there running around out there capturing this thing. One, I don't know how long it's been out there, and God forbid my tests have allowed it to, come through wherever its, dimension or existence is into ours. It strikes me that, like, if I have caused this shadowy thing running around up there, I can't be surprised. Like, I'm starting to, come to grips with the fact that I might be causing more of this trouble than I'm actually just, looking into. And that's kind of why I made that video about, are we causing these things? Because I think we have to take some personal responsibility about, if we're looking into this stuff, are we causing any of it? Is it dangerous? So I've really been trying to think about how I handle doing these experiments in the future, up to and including, can I do them on a smaller scale? Like, I know initially I was like, can I do these on, a larger scale? But that strikes me as a bit, dangerous and foolhardy. I'm wondering if there's a way to do this on a smaller, micro scale, and still prove the same things. Not that I want to do this in my house, but, can I do this, in a laboratory setting, and have much smaller speakers, not use as much energy? Is there a way to do this to still, find points, but not, possibly, open up these kind of, large-scale rifts, and if that shadow thing running around is real and a threat, and all those things are not certainties by any means. I'm just saying, I don't want to be responsible for letting more of those things into our space, or I don't want to encourage that thing or whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to,
Sierra, Delta, Alpha, November, Golf, Echo, Romeo, Sierra, Oscar, Sierra.
Hey, is this creepy voicemail message sent to random Twitter users really warning that aliens are here among us and that the world will end on April 18th? I've got the answer to that coded message, plus answers to a whole bag of other curious items that you guys sent in. Like this picture that claims to show a Grim Reaper dog with a skull-like face. A picture that wants us to believe this shark is 512 years old. A portrait of some trees that claims to be a real photograph. And that doesn't even include the big story this week about this drawing said to represent a man who's invading the dreams of thousands of people. Hey guys, Bill, when it comes to great mysteries in this world, I don't think there's any mystery greater than what most of us do every night, and that is dream.
Don't even know if you want to cry.
Despite intense research by scientists all over the globe, no one has been able to uncover the truth about why we dream and what it really means. Some think dreams help us organize our memory. Others think dreams help us work through troubling thoughts.
What? 22 damage!
What about this idea?
This game is
Dreams are actually a
trash.
place where otherworldly beings can visit us and relay important messages. Now, if you think this is a pretty far-fetched idea, well, I happen to agree with you. But take a look at this. This is an illustration of a man or being that thousands of people have reported seeing in their dreams. The picture was first sent in by Syed Ahmed, Aiden Simcoe, and Christian Bulakan, all of whom want to know, is it real that so many people see this man in their dreams? Well, guys, I have to say, this one has me very curious, so let's take a look. He doesn't have a name nor a nationality, but the story goes like this. This picture was first drawn by a psychiatric patient who told her doctor it is a man who repeatedly appears in her dreams. She said she has never met the man, but he is not evil. He seems to be a force of good who provides advice on life. Now, the doctor didn't think too much about this and just kind of left the picture on his desk. But then, a couple days later, another patient sees the picture, recognizes the face, and says he was also visited by this man in a dream. Since these initial reports, it is estimated more than 2,000 people have confirmed this man has appeared in their dreams, setting off a viral media sensation.
Have you dreamed about this man comforting or befriending you over the past 5 years? Then you are one of thousands across the world who have dreamed this man.
Including Los Angeles, Berlin, Sao Paulo, Tehran, Beijing, Rome, Barcelona, Stockholm, Paris, New Delhi, and Moscow.
Remarkably similar sketched images were published, and a global phenomenon was discovered.
Wow, pretty wild stuff, huh? I really wanted to get to the bottom of this one, so the first thing I did was turn to my Bill's Channel community page to see what you guys think. A lot of you guys like What Up World, Francisco Garcia, and Le Pizza Gamer said you had dreams that included this man. Even M said, if thousands of people reported it, Bill, I think it's real. But then a lot of you, like Anurag Pandey and Oliverio Garcia, said it's...
What the heck? Where is he then?
Very good point.
No, this game is trash. Oh, yep, 70 HP, little bum.
There were also a few unknowns and a lot of people that thought this drawing looked like Mr. Bean or even Freddy Krueger or even Freddy Krueger's brother. But anyway, the good news is, thanks to you guys, I was able to get this investigation on the right path and come up with this, the official answer. Now, you know I am dying to tell you what's in here, but if you watch this show, you know there's no way I can tell you what's going on in here until you tell me what you got going on up there, okay? Now, when I say go, what I want you to do is yell out as loud as you can, either real or fake. Now, if you can't do that because you might get in trouble or something like that, it's okay to pause the video, go to the comment section, leave your answer down there very quietly, then come back here, play the rest of the video, and see if you're right or not. Our third way to go, which is one of my favorite ways, is just to vote right up here. You ready? And go. Okay, did you vote? Good, because in just a few seconds we're going to reveal the ultimate truth about Mr. Dream Surfer out there. But before we do that, I've got a couple other very curious pictures and videos I want you guys to take a look at. Our first picture today claims this dog was born with the outline of a human skull on its face. The picture was sent in by
don't make it again.
who just wrote, does this dog have a skull face? Or did someone create this in Photoshop? Well, Tainted, you know, I really hope for that dog's sake that somebody painted that on his face or they used Photoshop or something like that because, I mean, Who's going to keep a dog like that with a face like that in their house? I mean, can you imagine waking up in the middle of the night and seeing that dog staring at you? I don't think I would want to keep a dog like that. But anyway, so how'd you vote out there? Did you vote real? Did you vote fake? Because, hey, dogs have a lot of markings. I mean, this dog could have just got unlucky, or even worse, it could be like some kind of devil dog. So, let's see. Let's see if you were right or not. Okay, now, the official answer about the dog with the skull outline on its face is, ready for this? Fake. Thanks to research whiz Marinus Kramer, we now know this is not a real dog. It was created by horror and science fiction writer Thomas Hoppe for the cover of his book, A Dangerous Breed. Our next picture shows us a very old-looking shark. A shark that many claim is 512 years old. The picture was first sent in by Hamza Chowdur, who just wrote, Bill, is it possible there's really a shark that lives to be that old? Well, Hamza, you know, actually when we started looking around, there were a lot of news reports out there about this thing. So we had to do a pretty thorough investigation to get to the bottom of it all, which we did. So we have the real answer right here. So,
oh yeah,
we're going to tell
sexy
you
on ya.
whether it's real or not, that there is a shark swimming in the oceans of old planet Earth here that is over 500 years old.
I've only got 20.
Okay. You ready? So if you voted real, you're voting there's a shark in the ocean that is 512 years old.
Yeah,
if
man.
you voted fake, you voted there is not a shark in the ocean 512 years old.
Come on, there is a shark, you know. I saw one last night. And I bit my finger up. Hey.
Unknown. First off, all the pictures floating around are not the actual picture of a 512-year-old shark. Those are just stock shots to illustrate the story, to which there are no pictures. Second, the shark that everybody's reporting on isn't actually one shark. It's actually 28 female Greenland sharks that were examined by Danish marine biologist Julius Nielsen and his team. In an interview with Science Magazine, Mr. Nielsen reports they tested the inside of the shark's eyelids for signs of radiation and lined up that information with known radiation levels in the sea over a long period of time. Based on the findings of these examinations, the scientists were actually only able to provide a very broad range for the actual age of these sharks, which Mr. Nielsen explains in his interview. So listen carefully to what he says here.
And the oldest shark
I'm still streaming.
analysis is from between 272 and 512 years old.
Wait, what did you say?
Call Liam and ask him to come online because my phone died.
I don't have his number.
Do you know?
No.
You're flipping cousin.
Huh?
You're cousin.
Yeah, but I don't really see him. I've only seen him twice. Because he lives quite far away. Because I don't live near him.
1775, I think is when that started. And these guys were like on point.
I'm doing pretty well. I've got 2 kills, 30 people left. I've just kept on dying to like some bad people because I've done those mistakes.
It was sent in by Jerome Osorio, who wrote, "Let us know if this is a real photo or just art. Thank you." Well, Jerome, you know, I gotta be honest with you. This one kind of fits into that category of being a little too obvious to be in the real or fake show because, I mean, let's face it, we all know it. Okay? But, on the other hand, sometimes I see things that I just like so much. I just want to point in the show. I mean, look at this thing. Look how beautiful. I mean, look at the colors in this thing. I mean, it's downright expressionistic. And what about these trees? I mean,
watch my broadcast.
Exactly how I would draw them if I was, you know, an artist of that.
Can't broadcast YouTube or anything else. You can't broadcast any content that is not yours.
No, just go on. No, just go on the party and then press on my name.
I'm not watching.
Alright then, calm down. I've got 800 wood and I've not even like, and I'm in some factory. I just broke planks.
Who was the first to solve this mystery? We now know this photograph was taken in the African country of Namibia by Franz Lanting on assignment for National Geographic.
It was a model of being in the right place at the right time with an idea, right?
That guy's actually bare annoying.
Which you can see better in this photo. Okay, now that we got all those little mysteries put away, what do you say we get back to our big mystery today and find out if there is really some guy or some being invading people's dreams. Okay, here we go. The illustration of a man who is mostly referred to as Ever Dream This Man has been thoroughly examined by the original plan checking team. The authenticity of the drawing is not questioned. Yes, thank you. We all know the drawing is not the drawing is just a drawing. The illustration is something. So, whether the drawing itself is real or not, it's not the
How have I got max wood?
The reality of a man who looks like a and reportedly appears in the dreams of true. Actually, you know what? That's really good news because you know what that means? That means there is one place in our lives that Facebook has not figured out how to invade. Anyway, just a little. Thanks to a comment from Honorary Poppy on my community page, we chased down the idea that the whole thing was a hoax created by a marketing strategist. This lead was this man. His name is Andrea Nutella, and he's a sociologist and marketing historian. Software, cooked up the story, and the article .org. Ironically, Nutella also created a fake marketing company called Guerrilla Marketing to help propel his viral art project. Created by a marketing strategist. How do one pay? Anyway, just a little. Who is this? A comment from Honorary Poppy on my community page. We chased down the idea that the whole thing was a hoax. This lead was this man. His name is Andrea Nutella, and he's a sociologist and artist of sorts. He created the This Man image with some computer software, cooked up the story, and then wanted to go viral with his own webpage called thisman.org. Ironically, Nutella also created a fake marketing company called Guerrilla Marketing to help propel his viral art project. But it was so successful that he ended up being offered a job at a real advertising agency. I mean, it's really amazing what some people have to do to get a job. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's all the time I have for today's video. But hey, we think about clicking away right now. I wouldn't do that because don't you want to know if the world is going to end on hang around for a couple of minutes and I'm going to be telling you about that. First, however, I just want to send out a big thanks to all the people who are sending in all the crazy photos and videos that you
interested in. I'm too scared for some solo help.
You need a kit?
Would be nice.
Kit?
Thank you. Wait, is it just 3v2?
Yeah? 1 minute. What did you say? Loving this life. Bush camping it is. Woo! Woo! Oh, bush camp. Bush camp. Woohoo! I'm joking. shot, didn't he? He just does. Just a little pink. This game is actually trash. You can go kill it, Sam.